Hello. Hello.
Hi. We're back. We made it.
We did. Been planning it for a week or so, but we finally got it done. So we got ourselves together and we're sitting at the table and got all our stuff ready.
Piles of it. Piles and piles. So if you're new to us, thanks for joining. I'm Rochelle from Endless Roving.
And I'm Laura from I Heart You.
Yeah, and together we're the Roving Hearts podcast.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about some of the dyeing and blending and spinning and knitting and all those good things that we've been doing, and get right into it.
Yeah. I think it's been a couple weeks, so we've got some updates on things and some brand new stuff too. So Rochelle's got some beautiful roving that she's been dyeing, so thought we'd start with that.
Yeah, well, I'm getting ready for the 100-mile Fleece and Fibre Festival, which is going to be in Coombs at the end of May. And I've never been, and I'm going as a vendor, so this is kind of scary and exciting, and I'm trying to get some things ready.
What's the date for that?
May 29th.
May 29th.
On Vancouver Island at the Bradley Center. So the other day I forgot to put the vinegar in my dye bath, and so I added it after I put in the dye, and I found that the color distribution before I added my mordant really spread out and saturated, and I ended up with this all over kind of apricot color.
So that was adding the vinegar right before the dye?
After the dye.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So I had it soaking and gradually heating the water with the roving in it, and I added the dye, went away, came back, and it had saturated fairly well. And then I added the vinegar and more dye, and then I ended up with like the darker tones.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then I added a little bit more of the accent colors. So it's orange that I blended, and then another blended blue. And I thought, okay, well, let's try it again with the vinegar in the first place. And I got a different result. The dye struck more quickly, and
the blues seem much more saturated, I think, in this one. Yeah.
This looks a little cloudier. Oops. So I haven't quite braided it all, but it's getting there. I have a tendency to mangle this stuff because I just love fondling it. Okay, so that was one color.
Don't be weirded out if you get some pre-fondled yarn from
yeah.
Michelle. You know, we have a fall fair here, and they have like knitting displays and spinning displays, and every year I get in trouble for playing with the displays.
Don't touch it.
You just want to touch them.
Yeah.
But you're not supposed to do that because they're, you know, they're people's works of art. You wouldn't touch someone's painting. But anyways, they always come over and...
Well, it's a tactile thing. Yeah. So I have lots of other stuff dyed. I did this one yesterday, and I did it in a really loose chain. And so I've got...
So dyed in the chain.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to re-chain it and do it up a little tighter. But you can see there's still, it leaves a lot of white sections.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not quite dry yet, but yeah, it's got the lavender and electric blue and some yellow pinks.
They're like Easter, like spring colors.
Pretty. Yeah, so that's the
really soft.
merino
soft.
and silk base from Ashford. Yeah.
I love how the silk takes the dye differently from the merino. I don't know if this will pick up, but you can see how the pink has hit the merino here, but then it kind of travels up the silk.
Until it fades out.
So they kind of take it differently, and it kind of spreads the color out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's another one. And why don't we, this kind of goes back to last week, and we were talking about I don't know if we had a name for it back then, but I decided to call it Hello Boris. 'Cause it's this purple and green roving on light gray. Not sure if that just looks white, but this is actually a light gray merino. And so Laura got some and did a 3-ply, and then we talked about doing a 2-ply, which I meant to have a sample done up. But instead, what I've been doing is dizzing it. And I have all these nests of
so pretty.
fiber. Yeah, and I don't know if any of you have used a diz. This is just a button that I got from Naughty by Nature. I think it might be maple. And then this is the braid. So what I did with that other pile, I have quite a pile.
His pretty little
It's kind of
basket.
silly, but I wanted something to keep it all together.
I think it's sweet. It's just darling.
So what I did is I just split the braid. Whoops. Drat.
Michelle's like, I'm going to get this threaded before we start.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a hassle to thread that thing without an eye. But yeah, just broke it in half lengthwise in roughly equal weights. And then, I took the braid from end to end and split it in the middle. And then I split it lengthwise this way. And then I just started running it through the diz. And I'll just show you.
So this is so you don't have to draft as much
Yeah, and
while
just
you're working.
yeah, helps to keep it consistent as you're spinning. And so what was happening sometimes, so I'll just show you. So you just slide it up until it doesn't really want to go, and then you just do a little bit of a draft and then keep it going. And so what would sometimes happen is it would, oops, well, I didn't mean to do it all the way, but anyway, it would slip and I get a thin spot, and so I would just break it off. And so I got a few of these little guys, but occasionally I'd have a good run of it and I get more of a monster, which is more fun for spinning. And that's how I came up with the endless roving phrase when I was learning how to sorry. I need to relax. I'm like blathering on here and
No, I don't actually think I know the story of how you came up with the name.
Okay. Well, when I was first learning to spin, I was basically making roll eggs, and not even roll eggs like what you've been doing, but just little bits, little tufts, and I would get it ready, I would spin it, and then it would be gone, and I'd end up with all these little pieces. I'm like, oh, now endless roving, that would be the dream.
It just
Like,
keeps going and
going. Yeah. And I was kind of nomadic at the time, and it just seemed to fit, and so I used that for my email address for a while, and then eventually Roving Mistress didn't work out, and I went back to endless roving. So yeah, so that's enough about my stuff for a bit here.
Oh, it's also pretty though.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're doing some beautiful stuff. I'm just staring at this little pile over here that you guys can't see, so
You will.
focus. So so that was Hello Boris, the color.
And how we came up
Yeah.
with that name is Laura went home with her roving.
Yeah, but maybe 2 months ago.
Took a picture of it with her blooming hellebore. And it was just such a great picture. And it's like,
And the colors match perfectly.
Yeah, it really went together.
Yeah, it was purples. Actually, that's if you care to if you care to look, it is on my Instagram. If you want to see the inspiration.
Yeah.
To
So it was just a fun little play on hellebore.
Yeah.
Hello, Boris.
Hello, Boris. I like it. So, yeah, so last time we recorded, a couple weeks ago, I had a bobbin of like a very similar colorway. Not exactly the same. Dyed at a different time, but very similar. So yeah, so I just 3-plied it, and I wanted to show it to you guys because I had the single last time. So I got my very pretty 3-ply. Just the colors are really kind of subtle. It's brighter than, yeah, there you can kind of see the brightness of the purples. Yeah.
That's just,
Yeah, very pretty.
it's gorgeous.
And yeah, I'm really happy with it. It's nice and balanced. And I got some good yardage.
Dusty. Or not dusty, but you know, when you're talking about the colors being subtle, they really are like
And I think that's
country.
the gray. Yeah.
It's a country kind of color in my mind. I don't know how to explain, but
It's not like a jewel tone. Definitely not. And I think the gray has a lot to do with that. I think the gray really comes out and just kind of mellows everything a bit.
so it'll be interesting to compare because it was very similar. The braid of roving, and we were going to compare notes. I'm going to do a 2-ply. You did a chain ply.
Yeah, I did a 3-ply, chain ply. And then you're going to do like just a traditional 2-ply.
Yeah, which I'm finding really boring.
Yeah.
It's so passive.
Yeah.
You know, you just sit there and anyway, I tried getting into it a little bit more from
the chain ply is like, it's work. You know, you're really having to concentrate, and you know me, I use big long draws, so I've got my arm way back behind me. And then the 2-ply, you just kind of, you know, I don't know, you can get a rhythm going, but you kind of have to be into it at the time.
I've been plying onto my I've got an old treadle sewing machine that we converted into like a big spinning wheel.
Yeah, like an Indian head, yeah.
And I'm finding that I'm quite far away from it. And so while I was plying up this stuff, I tried to get closer and it's like, come on, pay attention to what you're doing. Because there are a few places where the plies are really loose and far apart.
Yeah, it's easy
Like
to
that
start.
is pretty sloppy plying. So I was trying to like, okay, well, if it's so boring, why don't you start paying attention?
Well, yeah, it's easy to start kind of feeding it through like you would when you were spinning fleece, like raw fleece, because I don't know, yeah, you just kind of get in that mode. But with the plying, I'm realizing if you want a good twist, you really need to kind of hold on for a minute.
Yeah.
Where I guess with the chain ply, you wouldn't have time to think about holding on because you're just constantly manipulating. Yeah.
Well, I thought I was doing a good job because I was keeping my 2 strands far apart. And I thought, okay, well, that's going to do it. But it didn't quite.
Yeah.
I think it had something to do, like it helped eventually, but it required more than just holding it farther apart.
So do you think, like I have this little theory that I don't actually think is true, but that if you have some spots that are overspun and some spots that are kind of underspun, that when you wash it, they're going to even each other out. And they don't know if that's actually true or not.
Do you mean like with plying?
Like say you had a plying, you know, you have one spot in your 2-ply that's loose, like you were talking about, and then if you had another spot that was like overly tight, you know, in my head it just kind of, you know, it just travels, and
I don't think it does.
I don't think so either.
These have been washed and set. And the loose spots are still loose.
They're still there.
And there are some kinky spots in here too.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I think it's more wishful thinking that your yarn will sort itself out in the bath, you know.
I think it might be.
It doesn't It doesn't always happen that way. Yeah, so speaking of 2-plies, I have a couple 2-plies here too that I've been trying to work on because it's not my favorite thing. And so I'm trying to do a high twist. So that's the first one I ended up with. This is from Rolex.
That's working.
I'm happy with it. And usually I finish the 2-ply and I'm like,
Yeah.
So this is
Well,
Corriedale and silk
and some Angelina or Firestar or something.
Stellina, I think it is.
Okay.
I don't actually know what the difference is between them, but this one's called Stellina at the store.
I like it because it's fine.
It's not very thick. You're right.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the difference. Maybe Angelina is thicker. So you probably can't see the sparkle, but it's
Oh,
there. Yeah. Is it picking up a little bit?
Like right here.
Oh yeah.
It's in there.
It's there. It's hard to show in the camera, but so I'm actually pretty happy with that. So that was a Rolex spin, and then this was a bat that I made on the blending board where I just basically wanted to mix these two colors up a bit, and I threw a bunch of silk in there, and it was kind of multicolored silk, so there is a little bit of like purple.
I like these little pops of pink or purple.
Yeah, there aren't very many, but
Yeah.
it's kind of fun. And the
Yeah, it's
silk
nice to be surprised, as you're going along with your knitting project or something.
Yeah, and there's some darker blue spots, and so it's basically just like a blue and a yellow blended. But yeah, you're right, there's another little purple spot, so they are they're hanging out. And I like the way you can blend a bit of silk in, and it really just picks up the light. So that's another 2-ply, and I'm like, okay, I like these. I'm happy with these.
Well, you're getting that round yarn that you like, right?
I think that's why I like the chain ply so much. We were talking about that a while ago, because I like the round yarn. Yeah, you can see like this is quite twisty, and I kind of did it on purpose, but I'm quite happy with how it turned out. So high twist.
Yeah.
High twist is probably a good thing. And yeah, that's it for my spinning.
Your spinning?
Yeah, I've been gardening.
We can tell.
I know, I was looking at my hands and they're covered in dirt. I'm sorry.
Mine are, well, I haven't been in the garden as much, but I have. Just while we're talking about spinning, I dyed some of my Romney. Let's talk about that first. And it was not a positive experience. It did not take the dye like I was expecting. I was going for green and brown, and I got mud. And I don't know why it would not exhaust the bath. And whatever, I'm still working with it. Like, this is almost kind of a brown, and then gray, and then a lighter gray. Okay.
But it's nothing like the other roving you just showed us.
No.
Same techniques.
Yeah. I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
I'm going to try soaking it longer with the vinegar in the dye bath. And then maybe I didn't heat it high enough before I added the color. So anyway, I spun quite a bit of this. This is all I have left from 6 ounces, I think. I think I had 6 ounces. Anyway, in last recording, I had those 2 bobbins, and they were kind of the earth tones, oranges and whatnot.
Yeah.
And so I applied them against this roving.
Oh, okay.
Spun, and then I ended up with these. So there's a little bit of. Oh, and that was another interesting experiment. But there's
some orange in there.
Yeah, there's a bit of green. The darker stripes. I've been spinning a lot of gray and brown, and I'm really ready to move on.
Get some color.
But I was trying to pay attention because I have a tendency to really love my singles, and then as soon as they're applied, they're different, and they might be just as enjoyable, but you lose that look. So I thought, okay, well, I'm applying my single against a fairly uniform applying mate.
Yeah.
And how will that go for keeping the personality
Yeah,
of the
keeping
single?
keeping the colors intact, you know,
Yeah.
instead of having them mix up like that.
And as you can see, there's still a lot of barber pulling. What's the difference between barber pulling and marling?
I don't know.
Me neither. So in my book so far, a single, if you want to keep it that way, it should either leave it as a single or do a chain ply.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to try, like, I've never done this, but maybe a black or, you know, so say like a black and then something really contrasting.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if it was something where you really liked that barber pulling, if the black would like make it pop,
Mm-hmm.
or if it would, you know. We've got some playing to do. We've got some experimenting to do.
Yeah. I think you would still get those stripes,
Mm-hmm.
even though it was plied against, like you say, a black or something. Your
It's-
color change would still be there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think maybe the roving that I had applied this against had too much variation in it.
Mm-hmm.
But
I think they're really pretty. Like, they're very earthy,
mm.
and they're going to be a vest.
Yeah, one of the fellows on the island here would like somebody, Maria, to knit him a vest. Keeps his lower back. There's a little bug on you. Anyway.
I thought it was my hair touching my face.
Anyway,
Mhm.
so that's that. Sorry.
No, I like it.
I like it too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just ready to move on.
Yeah, move on to something not so, because that, the shawl you showed last time, it's kind of the similar colors, like that greeny, orangey.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Age of Brass and Steam.
Yeah.
Which I don't even know where that is at the moment. But I need another one of
Mhm.
those. Out of hand spun.
Yeah, I was just poking at it when I was inside.
Where's my little leftover ball? Yeah, I think I showed you the skein I was going to use last time. I have quite a bit left. I could
Yeah.
have kept going. But I think this is the beginning of the spin, and there is really inconsistent, so I was getting a lot of these fat bits. And anyway, here's the...
I think it's a good size.
Yeah. It's being blocked. I just need to weave in the ends. It's got a really nice drape.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you didn't definitely use the right size needles, you know, not too big of a needle.
Thanks,
Or too
yeah.
small, I guess, would be.
But I'm really loving the...
It's kind of gray here, so you can't really see the... There, you can kind of see... There's a brightness to it. It's subtle, but it's like a pastel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's sandy colors and pinks, greens, kind of yellows.
Yellowy.
And hard to replicate because I wasn't keeping careful notes. There's some brown there.
Mm-hmm.
But I also reminded myself that this has alpaca in it. And alpaca tends to subdue the colors and make it more of a pastel.
Oh, yeah.
So I have to remember that when I'm trying to repeat the colorway here.
It might end up really bright, like really saturated on a different fiber.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you that those apricot ones, this is all Polworth. This is Polworth, and this is Polworth.
That's pretty. Polworth is really nice and soft, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think it's merino and another sheep. I think it's 2 sheep, merino, and another sheep bred together.
I think you're
Lincoln?
right.
I might be making that up, but it has the feel of merino.
Mm-hmm.
Almost.
And maybe a longer staple.
I think it does. Yeah, I think it's got a longer staple, but you get that softness. The squishy feeling that we like.
Yeah. And that's it for the Polworth that I have in my supply. So That's all being dyed.
I really like that one.
Thank you.
Kind of jammy purple and blues.
We're not getting into knitting yet, right?
Well, yeah, if you've got more spinning.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay, so this,
Ooh, that's pretty.
this is my chain ply that I was going to do for Chris. Her name's Chris Todd, and
We
she's on
talked
Facebook.
about her before, didn't we? She's
She's the girl who's putting together a book for left-handed knitters, or people who want to learn to knit who are left-handed. But I think she's got an Etsy shop, Chris Todd Knits. I think she's on Facebook and whatnot, but I haven't really found her out in the cyber world. Oh, I guess I could open that.
So this was going to be for her?
It is for her.
It is for her. Okay.
Yeah. It's just that last time we recorded, I just had this on bobbin, I think. Yeah, and I wasn't sure how that gray was going to work in the skein. Remember there was that one stripe of a paler color?
Yeah, you can kind of see it. I really like those colors though.
Right here.
Golds and yellows and...
It worked. And I'm happy with the spin. It's quite a
it's a
thick
nice
yarn. Would you call that a bulky? Erin?
I'd say it's probably a bulky.
Yeah.
Just looking at it, you'd probably want to treat it like a bulky, even if there are some spots that aren't quite that thick. But it's quite consistent.
Thanks.
Right through. No, it's quite. It's nice. It's really nice. We were talking about spinning the other night and how, you put your own self into it. So it's always neat to see someone else's spinning because it's never going to be the same as yours, or, it's all unique. Everyone puts their own energy into it, and and you may be using the same techniques, a chain ply and a single, whatever, long draw, short draw, but you're putting your own putting your own spin on it.
You put your own vibe into it, your soul into it.
And you everybody moves differently, and so I think that's a really cool thing about hand spun that you just you can't get with commercial yarn is just that kind of uniqueness. We were saying, there's certain people on my Instagram feed, and I see a skein, or not a skein, but I'll see it on the bobbin, or I'll see a skein, and I'm like, I know who that is without even looking at the top. I recognize the way they load the bobbin, or their spinning, and it's kind of neat.
It is. It's like with the couch and sweaters, and how they could recognize, oh, that's one of so-and-so's sweaters because of the way they did their seams, or...
Yeah. I remember we had a woman, Sylvia Olsen. I think we may have talked about her before. She's very big into the Salish community and Salish knitting, couch and style knitting.
Sorry about my squeaky chair. And
I don't know if that... Yeah, and the planes are going overhead. I don't know how much it picks up, but... Sylvia. Oh, yeah, and that's what she was saying, is she spent so much time... looking at people's sweaters, and people would bring the sweaters to her and she was reselling them, that exactly that. She could tell by, by the spin and by the stitches and, the finishing techniques and maybe, the designs they're using. Oh, yeah, that's so-and-so's sweater, that's so-and-so's sweater.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty neat.
It is.
I remember a friend of mine saying that she stormed off to her studio and sat down to spin for a while, and she took her skein off the bobbin, and it was all curly cues and crazy, and she's like, whoa. Her energy translated into the yarn that she produced, and it's interesting. Well, I have one more somewhat finished spin to share. These are the roll eggs that Laura gave me at Christmas time, the winter roll eggs. And I was going for a thick single, and I have a feeling it's going to be fairly overspun when I take it off, but I'm happy. I'm happy with it.
Yeah.
It's got thick and thin spots, but
That's what
really
singles
enjoyed
do.
this spin.
You had some color.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Chain palette cleanser, like you said.
Yeah, you know, a small. It's great to spin 4 ounces, but it's also really great to do 1.5 ounces or 2 ounces and play around, and I don't know, it doesn't become such a big project. Yeah, it's a palette cleanser, quick spin. And
Yeah. So I can't wait to see, you know, what kind of yardage I got from it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't mind knitting with an overspun yarn. Like
Mm-hmm.
this has been blocked very gently, and you know, it's pretty. Sorry, Laura.
Okay. You just got flicked in the face.
No, did I?
Oh, just with the not her hand, just the
All I
the
did
tail.
was
Sorry.
I just laid this out on the table like I don't have blocking pins or anything. But you know what? It's not going crazy or leaning off any direction. So,
and I think a towel like grabs onto the wool a bit, and you can stretch it out a bit, even without pinning.
So here, let's see. Oh yeah, you can see the curly Q right there.
Oh yeah.
I just knit them right in.
Yeah.
I don't mind. There's another one, I think. Anyway, they're there, and it adds character, and I don't mind it.
Yeah.
So I'll just knit those pigtails right in.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
It's very pretty.
Thanks.
It's very auntie, right? Your aunt?
Yeah. I'm happy with that.
It's nice. It's nice to do gifts.
This is merino silk and stellina, 50 grams. Yeah, so we'll see. I'll probably mix it into something.
I feel like you showed that maybe in the first or second episode. I might be wrong. Maybe I am. You're looking at me like I'm wrong.
I can't remember. I should have taken pictures of it in the roll leg form, but I just didn't. I just wanted to spin.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Yeah. So knitting projects. Been trying to do something different. I'm still working on Hermione's. They're still really nice, but I'm done. You know, I'm kind of feeling like not really feeling the pattern anymore. It's easy, but it's repetitive. So I'm at the heel. I got here last week at knit night and haven't started the heel yet and haven't touched them since last week. But when I go back to them, at least it's something different. I'll be like, oh, I'm doing the heel now. I can do the flap and turn it.
And that's your second sock.
And it's my second sock. So it's not surprising that I'm kind of losing momentum because, you know, getting close to the end and I've already done the other one. So yeah, still happy with my Hermione's everyday socks, and they will get finished, but I needed, you know, Rochelle came over a few nights ago, maybe a week ago, and it was just, you got over and I'm like, I gotta start a new project. We were playing around with stuff, so we pulled out some yarn from the stash. I was like bouncing some ideas off her, and she gave me some ideas for new things. So I'm really excited about them right now.
I can't wait to see what you've got going on here.
So I had this blue that I had spun. I'm pretty sure the company is called the Georgian Bay Fibre Company. And I remember the colorway is called Wasaga Surf. My mom sent this for me at Christmas as a Christmas gift. And this is locally dyed where I grew up in Ontario, which is like, I don't know how far away from here, thousands of kilometers.
Yeah.
So,
far away.
Far away, you know, in Ontario. So did this, and I had this skein out, and I'm like, I think this would make a really nice shawl. I was really inspired by Rochelle's hand spun shawl. And she had pulled out this other colorway, and that I had just like a little skein of, and she's like, you should stripe those two together. And yeah, she was totally right. Look at that. Yeah, super pretty. So I've been working on just been improving a shawl.
You've come a long way on that.
I have. It's been exciting, right? You know, it's so funny. You get sick of something, and you get sick of it, and you're like, I don't want to knit.
Yeah.
But it's just, you don't want to knit that project. So yeah, you can see it's in the style of a hitchhiker. With the, you know, on a diagonal, you start with like a few stitches down at the bottom. But I've just been improving it, and you know, every 10 garter rows I'm doing an eyelet ridge. So nothing too fancy, but it's the same idea where it's going to start out. Oops, sorry. See, karma.
Oh.
So yeah, I got all these little tails on this side, but anyways, I'm really liking how it's striping in, and I've just been kind of playing. I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm going to switch colors now, and then I do a bit, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to switch back.
Looks great.
I'm really happy with it, and it's so satisfying to be knitting with, you know, a hand spun single at this weight that's more or less consistent. Like you probably can't see, but it was thicker at the beginning. You can feel it, and I bet Rochelle can, compared to when I kind of got into my...
Just a tiny bit, just in this corner.
Yeah,
just like how when you started your spin or finished it or something.
I think it's like when I first started out, but...
Like that.
Yeah, it happens.
Oh, and this is great.
I'm really happy with it. And this weird bat that I spun that ended up in here has like sparkles and just like piles of color. You know, there's like probably every color from my stash in there, but a lot of blue. So it's really, you know, West Knits does a lot of the, you know, like Stephen West.
I'm
West
gonna have
Knits.
to look him up.
He's he's the biggest knitting character ever. If you don't know him, you must look him up. But he does a lot of stuff with like hedgehog fibers yarns.
Okay.
And he'll do a lot of these stripey things where you're mixing two kind of bold colors together, called bold colorways, or like something stripey. And I don't know where I'm going with that, but I really am happy with this. Yeah.
I really love this dark blue from the bat spin.
It's close enough. Yeah, it's like, here's a little tail of it. It's close enough to the
it works.
Base, you know, whatever the main color, but it's got enough contrast to make it interesting.
There's two things about this that made me think. Sorry. Two thoughts that came to mind. One is one of our knitters on the island, Tara. They've been doing this scarf, her and a friend, and it's a mathematical equation, and it has to do with the way the stripes, like 1 + 2 is 3, so then you do 3, and then
Fibonacci sequence.
That's
I think it is. Yeah, I've done hat stripes like that.
Yeah. And in this one pattern, they talk about how to carry the yarn up the side. And I thought that would be a really neat trick to learn that you could incorporate in other projects.
Yeah, so that's actually a good thing to bring up, because I have all these ends, and I've carried up on the back of things, and I've carried up on a lot of different projects, but I wasn't sure how to do it on a shawl.
Yeah.
Because you really want, you know, I did the slip stitch edge because I want a really clean edge. And I had no idea, you know, how to do it. So I just, I'll weave the ends in.
It might have not worked anyway with this one, because you would have had a funny, or maybe it would have. Maybe it would just added like a detailed, the bit of color all along. Which you can't see, but you know, it would have.
You know, there may be a technique out there that I just didn't find out, you know, and it would be handy, because like nobody really loves to weave their ends in. Like,
I haven't met anyone yet.
You know, so every now and again I do. I'll sit down and be like, okay, I'm going to do this, but yeah, it's a necessary. It's not the goal. I don't knit to weave ends in.
Right.
So.
Well,
anyways.
People talk about that with their Cozy Memories blanket, and how some people, you know, they're going to have a lot of work to do. Some people are trying to do it as they go. And that's going to be a lot of ends for people who've taken on that project.
Because they're pretty small squares, aren't they? Yeah.
I really like this slip stitch edge
Yeah.
that you've done.
Yeah, it's something my grandmother used to always do. Always slip your first stitch.
Because it is a nice clean edge.
Yeah. With the garter stitch, you have to do, so you have to slip it with the yarn in front.
Okay.
And then move the yarn in the back to start your knit.
Okay.
Or else you'll get a twist on the side.
Okay.
So if that makes sense, like your first stitch, that's how you get the slipped edge. You want to slip it, but you take, you leave your yarn at the front, slip your first stitch, bring the yarn to the back, and then start your knit.
Okay.
And then you'll get a nice clean edge on a garter.
Right on.
So it's good to know.
Yeah.
Little
But
tip for you guys.
That was the other thing, though, that came to mind is I did a stretchy bind off on this shawl.
Which, that's smart, right?
So the one that I used was knit to put it, I didn't actually transfer it, but then you knit them together through the back loop, and then you knit one, knit two together through the back loop. But I need to learn a stretchy cast on because this is fairly tight. But it's fairly tight across the top, which is fine. But I like to know one that's a stretchy cast on as well.
Do you know the long tail?
I have done it by like watching YouTube videos, but I don't do it regularly.
Because that's a good one. I don't like it.
Okay.
My friend loves it. That's her go-to cast on. I tend to do the cable cast on where you go in between and knit and keep adding. But it is stretchy. So if I need a stretchy cast on, I will do a long tail.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah. Tip 2. Anyway, sorry. We may be drinking beer instead of tea tonight, you know, and
yeah, it's Wednesday after all.
It's Wednesday. And then just really quickly, because there's not much to show, but this is the other project that you helped me put together the other night.
Oh, yeah.
I had this, which is Sweet Georgia Yarns.
Snapdragon?
Snapdragon. I always call it dragon fruit. And it's not. So it's, Sweet Georgia Yarns Snapdragon. And I wanted something to go with that. Bless you.
Me, thanks.
So I've got, I bought like a skein each of most of the Stroll Brights when they came out, the Knit Picks.
You like those neon colors, eh?
I love neon. Like everything is bright, which is funny because I wear a lot of gray and neutral, but always crazy bright socks and stuff. So this is, I think this is pickle juice. Yeah, that's what it's called.
Fun. Yeah.
So I'm using this. I'm going to use this for the cuff and for the heel and the toe, and then do this. And I think it'll just make a nice, a really nice, I don't know what I'm trying to do here, a really nice combination.
Yeah, that's going to work.
So I haven't even decided what I'm doing yet. I just, I cast on 64 stitches, and I'm just doing a 2x2 rib. I think I'm going to stop soon. I think I only want about 2 inches. And I think I was getting pretty close there. I measured.
Oh my goodness. I actually saw somebody who had tattoos. She had tattooed a ruler on her finger. And then she had a tattoo of, like,
I think that's kind of
increments
cool
on her arm, too.
Well, in the garden, I sat one day at home with a ruler and I measured different things so that in the garden I could figure out how far to space things. So yeah, from my elbow to my ring is a foot.
Okay.
And so that's just basically getting it tattooed on you instead.
Yeah.
I saw another cool one and it was on someone's foot and it had the markers, like it had a gusset label and then a little marker for when you start the toe.
Oh, cute.
Right on her, and I thought that was really cute for a knitter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, I was trying to measure that with my thumb, which I think is why Rochelle brought that up, because I know my thumb is, this part's like an inch and that part's an inch, so.
It's been a long time since I knit a pair of socks. I think I need to.
So, Rowie from Pirates Yarn, who we talk about all the time, is on this huge sock jag right now. She's doing, I can't remember the knit along. Is it Box of Socks? Cal, K-A-L?
Okay. Sock drawer?
Yeah, like
Operation Sock
I think
Drawer?
it's like the continuation
Oh, okay.
of that. Yeah, it's a new one for 2016, and I think she's done like I think she did 4 pairs of socks in April.
Oh my.
And this is someone who never did socks, and they're just on her brain right now. But it's cool because, you know, in some ways I'm jealous because she has so much, but it's, you know, it's really making me, you know, it's motivating me to do some cool socks.
Mm-hmm.
And she'll start a whole bunch at the same time and flip around on them. So I'm like, I'm gonna start some new projects. I deserve it.
Well, you know Jody.
Yep. Yeah, she's someone
I
who
don't
lives
know.
on the
I might have to
island.
edit that. Anyway, yep. A friend of ours on the island gets just gotten recently back into spinning. I think we might have actually mentioned her being enthusiastic about her spinning. And anyway,
Yeah.
she's been knitting up socks and using her thick singles and like I'm incoherent.
Well, she's going for it.
Yeah, and they're great. But I was gonna say, like, she's calling them farm socks because she wears them in her work boots, and she's such a neat lady.
Mm-hmm.
She's got her sheep and the blueberry patch, and she's very knowledgeable and capable, and not really afraid to take anything on. She inspires me.
I would like to get to know her better.
Yeah.
Especially having the connection as Fibre artists, you know, and being into that.
Oh my God. She's got these black Welsh mountain sheep. I think I got that. But one of them had a lamb.
Oh yeah.
When we were up there. And it's just so tiny. He's like a little goat. He's jet black.
So black
so
Welsh
cute.
mountain, is that?
Yeah.
Huh.
I was going to say mountain goat, but it's not a
Mountain
goat.
goat,
It's
mountain
a
sheep.
I think I've got the name of it right. Anyway.
Well, we'll see. If not, there will be corrections next week.
Yes. Yes, there will. Sorry, I keep disappearing.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any? You didn't bring any of your new project bags.
I got nothing else.
She's been doing quite a bit of sewing lately.
I've been trying. I was doing assembly line sewing before, and it's great because you can get like 8 bags finished, but it's such a slog to get through all those steps with every single one, and it was dragging on. So I'm trying to plan 2 or 3 at a time. And that's been working really well because, like, you know, I'm working and I'm busy, so I'm able to spend a chunk of each day on 2 days and have a couple bags to show for it without going crazy.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you've been playing with new patterns too, right?
I am, yeah. So some of them I, you know, purposely didn't bring because I wasn't 100% happy with them, and then other ones I'm like, well, they're not even in the shop yet. I guess, I don't know. I think I was thinking that maybe it would be better if they were available, but yeah,
I don't think it matters.
Really want to redo the photos in my Etsy shop, and I think that really shows you I'm not really feeling super confident in myself right now about it. You know, I keep
about what?
I think just about Etsy and about that aspect of it, and I think I really want to get my photos sorted out, and I still haven't found a solution to that, but yeah, I think that's why I keep on kind of just being like, oh, downplaying it, because I don't know. Anyways, I love it, and I love making things, so I'm trying to make sure I keep the love. And the photo thing, it's just, I moved, so I don't have a spot. We've talked about that. We don't really have a good photo taking spot, either of us. Yeah.
But you know, even if you're not 100% happy with a bag that you've made, I don't think you guys would mind
You're
hearing
right
about it, and you just say,
Yeah.
yeah, I think the zipper is a little too short or whatever. Like,
yeah, and I had a friend over and showed her a bag, and I said, oh, if you want, I can give you a deal on this because the zipper's too short. And she looks at it, she's like, what are you talking about? She's like, this is fine.
It's like, Laura, I
poked a hole in that one.
Yep.
I gave that to her because I poked a hole in it with a seam ripper.
And it's adorable. This is my favorite spot. It brings back a memory from being on some campus in Montreal and a little squirrel peeking out. But yeah, she just, I'm not selling that.
I'm not
You
selling
can have
something
it.
with a hole poked in it.
And I love it.
But that's the thing, is it's
Yeah.
still pretty, but it's not, yeah, it's not
Do you
something.
see any holes?
It's there.
We're our
Anyways.
own worst critic.
Well, yeah, and that's natural.
Where are we
I
at?
guess.
It's still recording.
Yeah. So I think
I'm hoping that it's not. Sorry.
just teasing.
I was just going to say, I hope it doesn't take me 50 minutes every episode to finally get warmed up.
Yeah. We
But apparently maybe it will.
well, this is new to us, and if you guys have been watching along with us, you know this is episode 4.
Yeah.
So, you know, thanks.
Yeah.
And
Thanks for enduring.
I hope you're enjoying it. You know, we're still learning how to be behind a camera, but I'm feeling a little less nervous about myself.
I just feel that sometimes I'm going on and on and on
That's-
about my stuff.
That's what a
Which is
podcast
what we're
is. That's
doing.
exactly what we're supposed to be doing here.
But just to get back on track a tiny bit
Mm-hmm.
about upcoming spin. I spun this ages ago to be a core. I got JC Boggs spin art book, and it had a DVD in the back, which is great.
Oh, cool.
And she demoed all these different techniques. And so anyway, I spun it, like I said, yonks ago. And anyway, it's been sitting around, and I came up with these. Here, let's do it like this.
Oh, yeah, you
As
wanted something.
possible. So I'll use this as a core, and I don't think generally you see much of the core when you do a core spun yarn. But since I'm going to be new at it, I got
just
this
in
one.
case.
They don't really look like they match in the light here. This does have...
It's the same kind of purples in there, doesn't it?
It does. Sort of. It's there. Anyway, that's one possibility. And then there's this one. We could talk more about Etsy too, because I started an Etsy shop and there's not one thing in it. Never had a sale. And I think it's because I'm not committed to it. But anyway.
Yeah. I need to find my commitment. I lost it.
That almost
it's there.
seems like a better...
Well,
on here it
we
does.
looked at this the other night, and I just kept staring, and I kept going back and forth and back and forth.
I think these are the colors in your Springtime Bandit
Yeah.
skein.
Yeah, they are for sure. I think you're right. I think that might be it.
Looking at it on the lens,
Mm-hmm.
this seems to be better.
Yeah, if you guys have any input, if you want to put
Yeah,
your
leave
vote
them
in.
in your
Yeah, do it.
comments. Oh, maybe I should do like an Instagram vote.
I've done that before.
Oh, help
It-
me
it
decide,
really helps.
guys.
And if anything, it helps
Oh.
you decide what you really wanted to do in the first place.
Yeah,
you
it's sort of
know?
like if you're disappointed with the outcome, you're like, oh,
Yeah.
and you know what the answer was.
Yeah.
I'm really loving this green,
Mhm.
that in particular. Oh
yeah,
my
that's
God,
a very
I love
vibrant
green.
one. Yeah.
Okay, anything else? Yeah, one. Maybe I should save it for next time. Ow.
We're gonna
You
show
guys
you
can
this, but
always
we're
shut
gonna
it
do
off.
yeah, you pause it. We're gonna do a blending board demo next time.
Drum Carter pajama?
Yes, I'm sorry, drum Carter. We're gonna you go ahead.
So I bought a secondhand drum carter years ago. I've used it a few times. I don't love it. It's a frustrating piece of equipment. However, my niece was over. She's like 9 or so.
Mhm.
And she's into knitting, she loves knitting, and I thought, well, let's try something different. Let's go play with the drum carter and you can pick the colors. So this is her little bat that she made. She made 2. One of them I already spun up and gave to her. And then I'm going to I'm going to diz this, I think,
Mm-hmm.
and do a nicer yarn. And then she has something really fun and pretty to practice her knitting with. This is all merino.
It's like a mermaid tail.
Yeah, it sure is. I don't think we put any silk in here, but she sure had fun picking out the colors. And so there's that little guy.
So it's about an ounce, you said?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that seems to be all I can fit on that drum carder. I got, it was really nice to play with fiber with a kid because it took the pressure off the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
And my very first dyeing experience I did with my other nieces and my son. And we just had a fun time in the kitchen with food coloring, actually. And I just found a piece of the roving that we dyed together that day. So I'm glad I still have a little bit left. Because there's a little heartbreaking story there that I'm not quite ready to share. Anyway.
Yeah, so we thought maybe we would we'd play around with the blending board a bit, and then maybe next time show you guys. Not the blending board. Oh my goodness, the drum carder.
Right.
The drum carder.
See, I knew what you meant.
So yeah, a lot of people said they enjoyed the blending board demo that we did in the first episode. So now we're gonna do a drum carder demo next.
Yeah, I'm a little shy about doing that, but we will do it.
Mm-hmm. What if I just videotape your hands?
Yeah, or you could do it. I think it's because I'm not sure how well it's going to turn out.
Oh,
A lot of it's been sticking, like it won't lift off. And anyway, it's okay. You'll get the idea. I mean, I know there's a lot of videos out there on YouTube, but again, it's us.
Yeah.
Yep, still recording. Should we knock it off here, or should I show, well, I'll just show you the ones that I played with. They're colors that I love. They're colors that I had on hand.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry about all the crinkling. I think sometimes that can be kind of loud. So anyway, I weighed out 3 ounces or so. And see, they're not very, see how holy they are?
Mm-hmm.
Mind you, they've been opened up a few times. But I can only do an ounce at a time. This is a much better one.
Yeah, that's very even.
So this
like
is
even thickness.
Thank you, I guess. Yeah, thanks. This is a mixture of some hand-dyed, can't remember what kind of fiber it was. This is merino and silk. I can see the silk in it right there. And then there's some other hand-dyed stuff that I think is coarser. Oh, I got some Romney from Ashford, actually. But see how it opens up? It's quite a bit. Oh, that's it. This was all tucked in. That's why.
Oh, I see. That's why it looks so thick.
And then the other stuff is merino, like solids. Hi. Anyway, so I'm gonna diz that too before I spin it. But I like it with the orange.
Yeah, I
Anyway.
like that too.
Oh, snacks.
Aw, isn't that
honey.
sweet? Look at that. The little arm
Arf.
passes us little
Oh, yeah.
sandwiches.
Thanks, honey. Oh, that was sweet.
That's
It's a
really
hint.
sweet.
It's like, wrap it up.
He's very patient with us. So, yeah, well, that's our pile of fluff for
Big
this
pile of
week.
fluff. So there's a few spins in progress. Upcoming spins. You need some fiber.
Yeah, I'm out.
Well, you're going to get some because we're going to play with a drum carder. And you will have some spinning to do after that.
We'll work
So we'll let you
out.
know what we come up with. If it ends up being spun before our next recording session, maybe we'll try to snap some photos. Oh yeah, started a Ravelry presents.
Oh yeah, we do. I haven't done anything on there, but we signed up for a Ravelry account under Roving Hearts.
Yeah.
No podcast, right? Just
plain
the
old roving hearts with a capital R and a capital H.
So we're gonna try and maybe
Post
we can
some
talk about that a bit
projects
too.
and
Yeah,
things.
try and post some projects and use Ravelry to its fullest extent. You know, use the resources that it has to offer us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to make a better connection with you guys.
Yeah, knit-alongs especially. I'd like to start doing knit-alongs, more of them. Yeah.
Yeah. I've only participated in the one with Rachel from Wellford Pearls, and I'm not very good with deadlines and whatnot, but
Yeah.
I'll get better.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining us, and we'll look forward to connecting on Rav. Okay. Bye.